champion from last time round. Morhad Amdouni isn't here, neither is Bashir Abdi of Belgium. Bashir Abdi having some amazing marathon exploits this season. Jimmy Gracier, best known, I think, for his cross-country exploits. He certainly is to me, but that 27:24 personal best and season's best is very handy. The Frenchman is tough. He will fight all the way to the end. And Emmanuel Berhan Clipper and Jimmy Gracier have raced for years and years. We're set to see another battle between those two. This is Aris Kaya, Ali Kaya of Turkey. He's picked up a silver and a bronze at these championships. What can Aris Kaya do here? Host broadcasters choosing to quite rightly focus on some of their home talent. Philemon Abraham of Germany there, best known as a mountain runner, but he's doing a very good transfer over to the track. That's Isaac Kameli of Belgium. And I said, when we saw him warming up, he was the first European at the World Championships. Came home in 10th in Oregon, but he did look a little bit tired in the 5K, couldn't match the lift of pace. Jakob Ingebrigtsen. Mark Scott, it's actually a triplet. I think there'll be not many triplets in the world, let alone ones that are world-class athletes. Indoor bronze medal back in Belgrade in March. Second all-time in his personal best. Sam Aitken there, his teammate, is 5th all-time in the UK. Strength and depth in Great Britain over 10,000 metres. To have two athletes that are 5th and 2nd all-time in one field is fantastic, considering what our nation's achieved over the years. Niels Vigot of Germany goes in lane 2. Similar to Fabian Schlumpf, we saw in the women's marathon at the start of the programme, did suffer some heart inflammation after suffering COVID, so let's hope that Vigot is back to his best. So Samuel Fitwi Sepahatu of Germany, under 23 cross-country medalist, taking the warm applause of the crowd. As with every final, they've laid the gold, silver and bronze medals out. The athletes will be painfully aware of what they're aiming for, and just in case they happen to forget, those medals just poised on the start line and full start. I did think the men looked a little bit unsteady, and I did think that could be coming. It's a lot of nerves. They'll be anticipating 25 laps of hard work. To the layman at home, I can assure you, every one of the laps these men will do will likely feel like a sprint to anyone else. Chris Cohen, the very, very busy chief referee here in Munich, awarding a green card to the field. So it's unsettled. You see so many of them just lifting their back feet there, just not quite settled. 26 is entrance is a lot of men in a 10,000 metres. They'll be very used to racing like this, though. Let's just hope they can all stay out of trouble. And they can let themselves slot into decent packs as we let these 25 laps unfold. Looks like Jimmy Gracier on the outside, keen to ensure things get moving fast. Mark Scott was the leader of the inside group. Had two waves there in the start already. You can see some pushing and shoving in the middle of the group. Jimmy Gracier taken through. That's a swift 30 seconds for the opening lap, the opening 200 metres. So Jimmy Gracier of France pushing the pace right from the start.
Yeah, and I'm sure Gracier will be aware of the need for some success for France at these championships. I heard them talking outside the stadium of just how much they wish they could build towards Paris. Round still.
Back to the men's 10,000 metres. Jimmy Gracier has been at the lead now for 3 laps. He took them through the first kilometre in 2 minutes and 40 seconds, which is pretty much off my pacing chart that I use for championship 10,000 metre running. That is below 27-minute pace. Could be as fast as 26:40, which could obliterate the championship record and get pretty close to a European record. But Jimmy Gracier, he's an aggressive athlete. He's so good over cross-country, and I think when you've got that strength over cross-country, you can perhaps back yourself that you're not going to fall apart in the latter stages of the 10,000 metres. Jimmy Gracier just full of strength, and I think perhaps just fancying his chances, if he can make this race as fast as possible, is going to bring in the highest possible position and maybe a decent time as well. It's fantastic conditions. There's some flags across from us in the commentary position, and they are not moving at all. Jimmy Gressier is whizzing round the infield.
And the athletes waiting so long to get their championships underway, and I think that will just entice them to...
Not much change in the men's 10,000 metres. Jimmy Gressier of France still in the lead. Mark Scott of Great Britain and Northern Ireland in second. Aras Kaya of Turkey is in third. He's the only athlete not on the rail. They're starting to bunch ever so slightly behind Jimmy Gressier. He slowed slightly, 2:40 through the first kilometre, 2:44 through the second. It's still super quick. So I don't think any of the men will bother overtaking Jimmy Gressier. I think that he's doing a fantastic job at pace-making this field. Sam Atkins just sitting in fourth place. He ran his brilliant 10,000 metre time, and he's meant to be pace-making a race. He's one of the fastest in Europe all time and in Great Britain all time. He's in fourth place at the moment. Isaac Kameli just in fifth place on the shoulder of Sam Atkins. This is the second group, the chase pack if you like. Kawal, better known as a steeplechaser, ended up being handed the gold medal only after the disqualification of...
In terms of 190.
So, same people in the lead group, but it is Mark Scott in the lead at the moment, Sam Atkins just nipping off for a drink, and that would suggest they've really slowed. It was 8:09 through 3K, a 2:45 kilometre. Jimmy Gressier still at the lead then. But it does look like it's really slowed down a bit, and that's a very interesting tactic of Jimmy Gressier. I mean, I doubt he's feeling kind of he wouldn't have gone off at 2:45, 2:44, 2:45 if he wasn't feeling good. Johan Kowal swings the whole way round the group. He was in the chase pack. He's perhaps keen to run an even pace. I think he's entered for the London Marathon in October, Kowal, and he will not want to leave anything to a kick. And he's trying to get this race back moving into the realms of the pace they were going before. It was around about 27 minutes, 27 and a half.
Yes, I was lucky enough to be in Passy at the European 10,000 metres Cup in May, which Gressier won. It was his first 10,000 metres for several years, and he won it in 27, 24, 51. And he started off at a very quick pace on that occasion, just broke the field. He hasn't done that on this occasion. But Gressier, I think that run gave him a huge amount of confidence. It was his first 10,000 metres, quality 10,000 metres, since his days in the under-23 ranks. And he went up to number 3 on the French list. And I think he feels that the French record...
Athlete like Jakob Badlec has been learning his trade over and over again through the years. And you can see it in that difference in the technique. It's just... aggressive. Right, so Johan Kowal of France was leading for a couple of laps, and it was Jemena Berhan Crippa of Italy that pulled this group back into the lead. Jimmy Gressier back in fifth place at the moment. He led them through the first 3 kilometres in 8:09. Coming up on 5K now, that'll give us an indication of how much they've slowed. 2:50, so they did a 2:54, now they're back to 2:50 in their kilometres. That's the first time we've seen Emile Caresse of Great Britain and Northern Ireland a little bit higher up, but there's a massive pack here. Got a few athletes that have just drifted off the back of the pack, just 3. That leaves us with 23 pretty much all in contention as they've come through halfway in a very respectable time. Kaya piling on the pressure at the front. A very respectable, accomplished athlete. He was third at the recent European Cup, so he would have raced a lot of these athletes at that event a few weeks ago. European cross-country medals. Of course, Yasmin Chan of Turkey took a brilliant women's 10,000 metre gold. She dropped a 66, 67 lap on the rest of the field, and they couldn't respond. Eilish McColgan and Lorna Salpeter holding on for second and third. But Kaya just swinging wide, perhaps a reluctant leader. And that will be Italy's Jemena Berhan Crippa, who's going to end up in the lead. No, he's let Mark Scott come through. Emile Caresse just starting to move around the outside. Emile Caresse is more of an endurance athlete, I'd say, more in the 10K half marathon spectrum. He did run a brilliant 3,000 metres recently over in Ireland. 7:44, closing with a 56-second lap, with when you're better known as a 10K athlete. Some serious speed from Emile Caresse. He's looking to get this race back a little bit underneath that sort of 28-minute pace. They've drifted a bit slow Emil Kures of Great Britain and Northern Ireland at the moment, from Kaya of Turkey, Scott of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And Crippa just keep having a very quiet race for Italy, very briefly at the front, just when they wanted to close up the gap on Kaul, but Crippa happy just to resettle into the pack. Back on the track, Mark Scott of Great Britain and Northern Ireland in the lead. We saw Emil Kures for a while. Spadata of Portugal just clutching his ribs. I can only imagine it's a bad stitch, maybe stomach issues for the Portuguese athlete. Jimmy Gressier on the outside of this group. Look how close that pack's running to each other. They're so used to running in a big pack, whether it's on the track. Oh, and Sam Atkins of Great Britain, Northern Ireland, just I think probably giving his heel clip there a little bit. That will raise his heart rate, spike the adrenaline. You see tall Sam Atkins there in the middle of the group. Let's hope he's not had the heel of his shoe caught or anything like that. That could be problematic. Sam Atkins, he got no chance to get out of there. Sometimes when an athlete gets clipped like that, they might fly to the front and say, I've had enough of running in a massive group like this. Mark Scott at the front, he's got a brilliant change of pace, Mark Scott, on his day. That World Indoor bronze medal was really impressive. Bonnie of Belgium drifting out the outside. Crippa just nipping down the inside line of Mark Scott. I wonder if Mark Scott thought he was moving aside to let Crippa take the lead and didn't realise he was going to get overtaken by De Bonny as well. Isaac Camelli looked this good probably at a similar stage in the 5K, and then just seemed to run out of legs. He did have a brilliant run at the World Championships though. So for the first time, Imani Burhan Crippa of Italy making a concerted move at the front. The only other time we've seen him doing anything when he was trying to claw back Johan Coel of France. They go through with 8 laps to go, 2 miles. These men will think that is absolutely fine. The reps they'll do on the track, the tempos they'll do out on the roads. 2 miles is nothing for these men. They'd eat that for breakfast. Imani Burhan Crippa in the lead at the moment. De Bonny of Belgium has put himself in second place. Isaac Camelli of Belgium up in second place as well. Jimmy Gressier keeping himself involved. Sam Atkins, we're just going to have a re-look. Does look like he got caught from behind, and he did really well to stay on his feet there.
Extraordinary how this final has developed. We're having so many reluctant leaders, aren't we? I don't want to be in front. You have a go. Come on, someone else come through and do the hard work.
I'm just wondering whether this is why Imani Crippa has taken the lead and started to crank up the pace just a little bit. He's a good finisher, he's a good kicker. We've seen that many, many times in the past. But there are faster sprinters in there, not least of which would be Gressier. And I'm just thinking, he needs to take a bit of the sting out of some of those legs behind him.
He certainly does. Everyone's starting to have a go. Everyone's believing they can get involved in this final. It was 13:53 through halfway. So that's sub-28-minute pace, but I feel like they've slowed ever so slightly. And Sam Atkins, unfortunately, just withdrawing there. He's holding his back, and to be fair, that was he really had to contort his body to stay aloft, and it wouldn't be a surprise if he's perhaps tweaked something in his back. So a shame. We still have 2 athletes from Great Britain and Northern Ireland in there. Mark Scott, one of the fastest athletes for his nation all time, and Emil Kures working together back in 7th and 8th, but it's a big pack. And that's going to start getting annoying for these athletes if they're chopping their stride and continually coming under pressure from the side and the back. It can make them real uncomfortable running down there. We've also got Ifran Gide of Ireland, the 21-year-old. He's the highest placed of 2 great Irish athletes. He's just seen his training partner, Mark English, take a brilliant bronze medal in the men's 800.
Gressier, though, really looking very calm and collected at the moment. No sign of tension or strain on his face. Looking back, Mark Scott, we've been talking about him quite a bit. Looks as though he's working quite hard there. He's looking as though he's really having to push to stay with the first time of asking. 3 women clear at this height now.
Field starting to spread out in the men's 10,000 metres. It wasn't particularly quick through 8K, 22.5 minutes, around about 28-minute pace. And then the moves are starting to come. Imani Burhan Crippa has turned the screw at the front. This time, when they come through the start-finish line, it's going to be just 4 laps to go. That is a mile. And I said 2 miles is nothing for these men. 1 mile is really a point where you're going to start kicking. Emil Kures of Great Britain and Northern Ireland has moved himself up into 4th place. That's the highest that we've seen him. Also got Munique of Norway in 3rd he's had a quiet race up until this point. Yemeni Berhan Crippa is in the lead. Jimmy Gressier led a very aggressive first 3 kilometres through in 8 minutes and 9 seconds. I wonder if the cross-country specialist is trying to turn this into something of a fartlek. That would suit him. That's what you experience if you're going over mud, up and down hills. Jimmy Gressier perhaps just trying to flood everyone's system with a bit of lactic at the start, let it settle down, and now he's going to start lifting again and trying to match his long-time rival, Italy's Yemeni Berhan Crippa.
Yeah, Gressier looking very happy, very composed with how this is panning out. Isaac Kameli also looks strong at the front, but he's dropped out the race as well.
Crippa there just gesturing for Jimmy Gressier to take over. Jimmy Gressier is either not paying attention or didn't fancy it one bit. Munique of Norway is going to be the athlete at the front. Let's see, that's 3 laps to go. Just over 1 kilometre. It's really going to start speeding up, and you can see all of a sudden we're down to a group of just 8 athletes. Isaac Kameli looked tired in the 5,000 metres, and perhaps just not quite recovered from his exploits in Oregon.
It was interesting to see as he went round Gressier, he just touched him in the back just to let him know he was coming around. Interesting touch there. Scrub, having not featured at all so far, has moved up as well, but now it looks as though it's Mezenge who's really started to pour it on. He's got a long run from home. So they've got a kilometre to go, and they're just coming up to see 2 laps to go as they come down the home straight.
Mezenge really asking questions of the field. They've got 2 laps to go. He is the 4-time Norwegian champion. He has a half marathon time of 60 minutes and 7 seconds. That's really fast. Anything around about the hour for a half marathon is impressive. And Mezenge of Norway clearly feeling he doesn't want this down to a sprint finish. Jimmy Gressier leading the charge at the moment, trying to pull the other 5 athletes back to the Norwegian. Just another note there, 21-year-old Ephraim Gide of Ireland is having the run of his life, tucked in at the back of this group. A brilliant run as well from Pietro Riva of Italy. He was 5th at the European Cup, 5th here at the moment in the European Senior Championships. And we've also got Jan Schrub of France, 6th at the European Cross a few years ago. So there's a quality group of 5 athletes trying to reel back in Zeri Mezenge of Norway. But this time they're going to hit the bell. Gressier and Crippa want to get themselves on this podium any higher than 2nd or 3rd. They've got to go now. Mezenge of Norway has got 30 or 40 metres on the other athletes. They're going to have to unleash a massive last lap if they're going to catch the Norwegian. We saw Jakob Ingebrigtsen take a gold medal in the 1500, in the 5K. Could Mezenge here make it 3 golds for Norway? He's looking over his shoulder. It's a nervous look for the Norwegian, but he doesn't need to be nervous. If anything, he's stretching his lead as he comes around with 250 to go. Jimmy Gressier and Yemeni Berhan Crippa are working really hard to try and reel the Norwegian in. Here goes Crippa. He's gone fast, he's gone hard. He didn't want to take any of the other athletes with him. 200 metres to go. Crippa could be about to cause an upset in the closing few metres here. Could he convert his bronze in the 5,000 to gold here? But the Frenchmen are coming as well. Schrub of France is moving the fastest at the moment. He's trying to take Jimmy Gressier with him. 100 metres to go. Norway first, Italy second. And here goes Yemeni Berhan Crippa. He is going to take a gold. Crippa kicking hard. He looks left, he looks right. He's got nobody for company. It's going to be a win for Italy. A brilliant second for Zeri Mezenge of Norway. That was a tactical masterpiece from him. But Yemeni Berhan Crippa, his last 250 metres was so quick. I thought it was impossible he could make up the advantage built up by the Norwegian coming into the bell. But Yemeni Berhan Crippa, we've seen him do this in cross-country, we've seen him do it in age groups, but he's done it now as a senior. And a big run from Jan Schrub of France. It looked like he was going to pull Jimmy Gressier back into the picture, but in the end, he was the #1 Frenchman. Gressier happened to settle for 4th.
Well, extraordinary, because when Crippa started that kick, he just looked behind him. I thought, what's he doing that for? Focus on front. He was analysing the situation and then unleashed a masterclass over the last 200. to overtake Mazengi, who done so well to lift the pace, 66, then 62 seconds, coming through with 2 laps to go, and you just thought the Norwegian had enough. But do not discount your man behind Pippa. He took on the lead when others didn't want to. Certainly not Gressier after taking out the early pace. And it's a gold medal for Italy, taking away from the Norwegian and also the French, who wanted their first of these championships, but the wait goes on.
Well, I was very, very impressed as well. You have to say the fastest finisher of all 3 of them was probably Scrub, coming around over the final 150 metres. But the track just ran out for him. Another 20 metres, and I think he could have converted that bronze into silver. But Mazenge, who had him down as a potential medalist? Not me, it has to be said.
Schub emulating Perseus Karlström, the Swedish race walker, by donning a silly hat. Watcher of Austria getting some welcome applause from the crowd. They support every athlete here from first to last. But Johanni Berhan Kripper joins athletes that have got 2 medals at this championship. We've had Boel Ingebrigtsen and Tristan Piotti take double titles. But Kripper, gold here to add to his bronze in the 5,000 metres. Joins the likes of Eilish McColgan, Yasmin Chan. They took 2 medals over these longer distance. Kumbunji on the other end of the spectrum, and Zarnell Hughes in the sprints. And, just brilliant running there from Kripper. That was a tactical masterpiece, to be honest, from the Norwegian and the Italian. I've got to say that Mesny knew he might not be able to match the kick the likes of Gressier, Kripper and Schrub, and instead just stole a march. It was around about the 1.5 kilometres to go. Mesny just went, right, enough of getting clipped and shoved. I've waited enough laps. I am just going to go for this and challenge anybody to come with me.
Well, these are the early stages of the race where there's a lot of chopping and changing. This is the break from Mezengi. Mezengi, tall, lanky stride, and then chased down by Johanni Berhan Kripper. It's worth mentioning now, with another Italian gold to add to some of the ones earlier in this competition, including the 100 metres to Le Mans Marcel Jacobs. We're off to Rome in 2 years' time, where any Italian defending champion, well, he's going to get an awful lot of cheers, and the roof is going to be raised on the famous 1960 Olympic Stadium. We've also got coming up in Italy on the 11th of December in the La Mandria Park just outside of Turin. We've got the European Cross-Country Championships, and Johanni Berhan Kripper, who's had so much success at that, I'd like to see him be running there. I'm sure he will be, and the conditions will suit him. It's most likely to be dry. When we were last in Italy, in Chier, in Sardinia, it was wonderfully sunny. It was almost unseasonal weather for December. It was a bit like tonight, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if it's a bit like that in December in Torino.
Berhan Kripper is not someone I'd bet against at a European cross-country championships, and even less so at home. Could we see Megni come back and try and get a medal over the cross-country? We haven't seen him at that championship.